Hey, yeah. Be crazy. Yeah. Let's go. Chick so bad, she never met Santa. She bad. Yeah, I don't even care, I never had manners. Yeah, been a couple years, yeah, I must have standing. I do. Hey, sit while you rap, cause you just can't stand.
All right. We are live and in effect. Welcome to the show, you guys. We got a good one with I don't think people know how important the mental game is. You can get your swing down, you can do a lot of things, but if you're not in between the ears right, it don't matter how much you know. And that goes for all sports. But we'll get to that in a second. What up, Miss Clark's Golf Life?
What's up, golf fam? What's up, golf fam? No, the mental piece is so big. Like they talked about it last week, 95% of the game. So excited about our guest that we're about to have on today.
Definitely. Recap on our guests. We had a great panel. Great guest last week on the show, and that even came up. You know what I mean? And one of our panelists, one of our guests, one of our junior golfer experts said that it brought back his son from the dead, the mental piece.
Absolutely.
Brought him back from the dead. Brought his whole piece, his whole competitiveness, his golf game back from the dead. So it is important. What else? Oh, we had Amari's dad on, Andre on, and Jeff Champ on, and a gang of other Gus and a gang of others on. And guess who's going to the first women's major?
Miss Amari Avery. Looking
She'll
forward
be
to it.
Yeah. I remember Andre was like, Jeff, how can we do that? I don't know. A week later, Amari's there.
Yeah,
At
I
the
love
first
it.
women's, the Chevron, out in Texas. Dope. All the experience.
Oh, we got to shout out Miss Kendall Jackson and the Bison team, the Lady Bison team. You know, they had their first Bison Invitational, and she came in first place, and the team came in second out of 9 teams. So big shout out to the Lady Bisons.
Wow. What a journey. What a journey that is. What accomplishments, and that hard work has really paid off for that team. And of course, Miss Kendall, she's grown as a golfer and a competitor. And now she's winning. She's a winner. Always been a winner, but she's winning, let's say. Masters week just passed. I have a whole big piece on the Masters. I was going to do it today, but maybe I'll do it for another day with some slides. You know, people don't know. And it's shaky history because those who win the wars shape history. So, but you know.
What you thought about Ron winning?
Yeah, he I don't have a problem with that. I thought it was a gutty win. I thought definitely he got the bad draw of the weather, and he still managed to just keep close enough to come back on that last day and win. It was a great Masters. It was a great tournament. He gutted that out. Definitely. Golf is a funny thing. You know what I mean? And I don't think it's the golfers per se, but the media, the PGA ran propaganda media sometimes. They just put narratives out there. I know they have to put narratives out there to get people engaged and stuff, but I think they should be careful. Which they ain't gonna be, but I think they should be careful. I think the media put, and not a professional, but I think it sunk Roy. I think that sunk Roy. +5 didn't make the cut. You know, it's a lot of things that I think the media should just let it take its place. And the business models and the PGA Tour, I don't think they need help. I don't think they don't need your help. It'll work itself out. There's a lot of money involved. There's a lot of power involved. Something tells me it'll all work itself out. I don't think we
What you think about Tiger withdrawing?
Well, you know what was crazy is that Jason Day let the cat out the bag at the last major Tiger was with, that a freaking screw pierced through his skin from his leg. And that's why he has a lot of hardware. He has steel rods and of course screws. I've seen it in the ED. I've seen it in healthcare before, where you know a screw was piercing through his skin
Oh
at one of
my
the tournaments.
goodness.
Some of his hardware. So
Wow.
you know, um, rest, Tiger. The mind is willing, but sometimes the body isn't able, as my grandmother
You
used to
think he'll do the
say.
senior tour? You think he'll do the senior tour?
Well, he's alluded to he wants to do the senior tour because he'll take a cart and he'll still have a little competitive juices. And I think that's dope for the senior tour. It'll be a great boost. Uh, Keeps good prize money going and interest going in the Champions Tour. He says he doesn't mind riding a cart on the Champions Tour. He just refuses to do that on the PGA Tour, even though they would give him an allowance to do it. He's just like, if I can't walk it, then I don't need to play the tour, which is probably
Wow.
true.
Yeah.
Which is true. I
Yeah.
mean,
You think he got 3 more major wins in him?
no. His mind, yes. His skill level, yes. His leg and foot, hell no.
Gotcha.
It's too much. And at his age,
I hated to see the agony in his face on some of those shots that they had of them this week. It was
I know. But that's just the willingness, and I'm not even gonna say ego, it's just a fight to keep competing. But he looks like a pretty at the end of the he's proven that he's hella stubborn, but it'll come to him like, hey, I did what I could do. My body just is not gonna allow me to walk these courses like that. I think if he was healthy, he would win even at his age. Easy. I mean, look at Mickelson.
Yeah.
He won a major after 50 and he came in second.
He was coming. A few more holes. Hey, we would have had a little bit more than 18 holes. He would have came.
Hey, during the weather, during the age. So, the competitiveness is big. The competitiveness can bring you a long way. But, I'm not going to say he should stop, because who are we to say any man should stop or any woman should stop anything? But we do got to somehow be reasonable.
Yeah.
Tiger Eldridge Woods. We're going to have to be reasonable. And I want you to be running with your grandkids, not just walking a half major, So, he'll come to the conclusion. He's a smart man. He's disciplined. I think he's a realist. I just think, sometimes the body catches up before the mind does. And mentally he can win. His body's already there like, hey, buddy, I don't think we can keep doing this, at least, right now. So, I don't know. It was good to see him. He's always a draw. He's a needle. It's always good to have him in the field. Always. Definitely. Popularity, money, it's just like that. With all sports, shout out to LSU, the women's basketball champions.
Angel
Let me
Green.
give you I'm going to give you a quick stat. 12-point-something million people watched the Masters, up 19% from last year, which is great. I think some rivalries, I think the leaderboard has stuff to do with it. I think it was just an entertaining tournament,
Yeah.
12 million people watch women's tournament. I'm going to say that again. 12 million people tuned in to watch the women's championship game.
That's what's
college. It's a sports sports is a star-driven commodity. When you get a star or stars, people invest in the story, people invest in the journey, people invest in what you're doing. And, you got to wait for the star to come. I mean, look at tennis with Serena, look at golf with Tiger. We're watching women's basketball probably take a huge boost with the star from Utah and the stars from LSU. They're great for the game, and that's what they needed. I mean, come on. These are women basketball players making $1 million on NIL deals in college. I don't want to leave college because there's not even that kind of money for me in the pros. we're gonna have to address that too. Hopefully, we'll get that together, and
Yeah.
that's part of just interest. I don't think it's dubious, crazy dubious. I mean, there's always some kind of.
But it's such a difference, though. It's such a difference.
It's such a difference. You know, it's a little bit of both. I mean, if you want to make the game more popular and you want the women to actually earn a real decent living, then you have to boost it with money. You have to boost it. The owners, you can probably financially justify the salaries and stuff for its participation, viewership, ticket sales, merch sales. You could probably justify the some of the salaries, but I believe you have to invest in a product if you want the product to grow. And I just think it takes more investment. I mean, it's easy for me to say, it's not my money, but I just think it take more investments. And when you have stars, treat them the way they're supposed to. I mean, women's basketball, college basketball has several stars now. Got 12 million people tuned in. Like Andre Avery said, if Amari goes on to win on the LPGA and becomes a superstar, trust me, she's gonna do.
I don't say if.
Golf.
I say win. We ain't even gonna say if. We gonna say win.
Exactly.
Baby girl got this.
Nah. But she could be to women's golf what Venus and Serena was to women's tennis. I mean, right at this moment, the men and women purses are exactly the same. That's crazy, but that's the power of stars. The LPGA, and I love the LPGA. That's why I'm speaking on it, because I watch the LPGA as much as I watch the PGA, and I've been following sites of stars like Michelle Wie. I was like, she's going to be a star and she's going to propel the women's game farther. She did okay. She's a major champion winner. Then I was like, ooh, Tiger's niece. She starts winning. It's all over. And then now we have Amari. Amari starts winning. It's a wrap. It's a wrap for the game. You need stars. Okay. Any other tidbits and any other news before we get to our guest?
APGA Las Vegas. Was that Wyatt Worthington that won first place?
He won. He won first place. I think he was -6 or -7. -6, -7 on a 2-day tournament. TPC Vegas. Great course. Dope. We need those scores. Yeah. We keep saying. Sub 70. Sub 70 will get you on your way. I think he was -7, -6 or -7. Pretty dope.
I want to say it's his first win, so I'm super excited. I met him down in Florida, South Florida last year. Really, really great young guy, and I was so excited when I seen it come across that he had won, because I said, I think this is his first win.
So dope, and that first win with that number, shooting that number, so that's dope. And TPC, Vegas is ain't no joke. They play the Shriners there every year. It's like one of the first or second tournaments. So the Shriners come there, and the PGA Tour plays there. So it's a course, a long course. Anything else? Anything else come across the wire before we get to the guests and get to our topics?
Other than the Charlie Sifford scholarship is still out there. We're asking people to, if you got youth golfers that meet the qualifications, to go and make sure that you apply. It's should be closing at the end of this month. And again, it'll be announced in June who gets the scholarship. So make sure you go out there and get signed up, apply.
That's dope. We're talking free money for college, y'all. I don't think we could try to convince you to do that. Get it together. College is expensive.
That's all I got.
Hey, I think that's enough. College money. What else do you need? I think we've done enough. College money. Sit for scholarship. Meet the qualifications. Expand your mind. Expand maybe something you might have thought about and didn't think you could afford it, but now look into it. You never know.
And it's a no. It's a no if you don't apply. 100% a no if you don't apply. So
yeah, definitely, and it's only going to get bigger and greater with the partnerships they have. This is the first year. What tournament is it? I forgot what tournament is directly help funding it. It's a PGA tournament too. Oh, I forgot what it
Yeah,
is, but I'll say it next year. But
drawing a blank.
it it's well funded, and thank
And
God for
they're
that.
they're associated with Cobb Creek. So Cobb Creek, and Cobb Creek just got a partnership with the Tiger Woods Foundation as well. So it's all affiliated.
Yeah, but it's an actual tournament that
Oh
helps
yeah.
funnel their money. Some of their because they always do so much charitable money, and a lot of that. It's nice that some of that is getting directed to our folks. So definitely shout out to that tournament. I'll definitely have a better piece on that next week for sure. I'll do my due diligence and have the name. I'm just getting old, y'all, so I forget names, but I know that it's definitely a PGA Tour event associated with this scholarship that help funds it, and it's just a blessing. It's a beautiful thing. All right, you guys, please like, subscribe, share, grow the platform. It's free to do it. Yeah. Quick break. Right. We're just gonna bring our guests right on in and get it going. Get it going. Get it going. All right, let's turn down this music, man. Welcome, welcome. All right, we got our guest on. Trish, do the honors for us.
Hey, we got our favorite Robert Price back in the house. Gonna talk to us about the mental piece of the game and everything else. What's going on with the kiddos and their golf games, and we're just glad to have Robert back. He's with Elite Minds LLC. He does coaching, mental performance, all that good stuff. So we have him here, and we got some good word, good news. So welcome, Robert.
Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Welcome back. A long time guest, one of our first guests. He's an OG. A founding guest of the show. Thank goodness. I know he's been working. I know he's been working with them kiddos and maintaining, but he's back and he's always welcome. Tell us what's new. What's going on? Give us a quick update.
Quick update.
Yeah,
man. Listen, it's that time of the year where golf schedules and you start to prepare some things. With 4 kids, you're always busy. So it's, things are constantly moving. I'm always busy. Just kind of get my daughter. She's 15. So just kind of finish up the high school season here in Georgia. We play high school golf in the springtime. And, like you mentioned earlier, this thing is, we talked about it today, it's just a constant mental struggle just to make sure that we're doing the things that we need to do. But this is life. I mean, right? We get ourselves beat up all the time, whether it's someone else or ourselves. And oftentimes what I share with people all the time really is we're our worst critic. So the war, the spiritual warfare literally happens between our 2 ears. And so we have to figure out ways to defeat that thing. So that's my job. That's what I get the fun to do. And that's kind of what's been going on in my direction. Just busy. We have RBC Heritage is close by. Masters is here. So this is kind of that time for me professionally where I got athletes just kind of cycling through the area and trying to make sure that we connect and maintain and make sure that their games are where they need to go going into this summertime.
Okay.
Nice. Definitely. I think, and maybe you can answer this. Have you seen a change, especially maybe in some of our people, where they know and value that your services is a must now? You're not getting to the next level without you or someone like you mentoring and coaching them, just like a swing coach or a putting coach. You have to have a mental coach. And I think sometimes I don't think we thought that was important. What are you seeing in the industry or as far as your business or in general?
Yeah, I think for people of color, I mean, this still is it's one of those things that there's still some skepticism. I mean, there's some mental health stuff wrapped into that.
Mhm.
There's also the, um, and Black folks specifically, we struggle with allowing other people to help us succeed
Yeah.
in general. And I think those things are changing, but I still think that those are still some challenges that people have in front of them, because specifically in golf, um, we haven't done anything. I was what I'll say. We may have our one, we sometimes have two, but we haven't really been able to crack into this thing in the way that I think we would like. But also it's because now we're starting to share information. So shows like this, platforms like these, allow people to listen, learn, connect, and network. And we know, the older that you get, this is the class that they didn't teach you in school, is networking.
Yeah.
So if you go to any school, I don't care if it's high school, college, trade school, if you don't learn how to network, then you're out of luck. And so golf in
Yeah.
and of itself provides those skill sets to do that. And so to get
Mm.
our kids involved in this game is super important. But I do find there's still a little bit of hesitancy, but
Mm.
I do find that ultimately there are more. I am working with more and more African American clients, which is a great thing.
Nice.
People are finding me and asking those questions, because again, there is something to be said when somebody across the screen from you looks like you, or that's just different. And so plus I
Yes.
have my own kids going into the the exact
Yeah.
same struggles, all 100%. And it's just easier to relate. But even with the work that I do, it's just I'm able to take these experience from guys who are playing on tour,
Mhm.
you know, and doing Olympics, whatever sport it is that I'm working on. So for them to be able to just take these nuggets, put them into use, so that way we can actually get the thing that you need to get done. I mean, I think Trish, you mentioned 95%, or maybe Manny, you mentioned 95% of people. Some people believe that 95% of this game is mental.
Mhm.
And anytime I work with somebody or they ask a question about this or the need for it, and I always ask them that question. And so
Mhm.
even if someone told me 3% or 8%, well, that is a percentage in which you are leaving up to chance.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm.
And that 1, 2, 3, 8, even that's a stroke or two or three or eight, let alone if we're thinking it's 95%. There's a way to build the brain, a way to make sure that we are actually mentally tough. And it's scientific in many of the things that I do personally. But one of the things for this is that's so crucial. And so to be able to have our folks being able to gain access to this and make it work, I think it's just going to do nothing but elevate their game. So
Okay.
I
So
believe so.
yeah. And so for those that probably didn't catch the when you were on before previously, maybe this is the first time of them hearing having you
sure.
on now. Give us just a brief, tell folks what exactly you do.
Sure. So that's an easy, hard question at the same time. Um, Unfortunately, uh, I've actually been at this work literally for 23 years. So I know it doesn't, might not look like it, but I've been at this for 23 years working with athletes, really in every sport that you can pretty much imagine, traditional sports, non-traditional sports. So that's one aspect. The one thing that I do as a mental performance coach is really to help players do as we talked about, understand how they think and what they think, and how those things drive how they feel and what they do. So if we're able to lock in on that, figure that out, that's the base of what I do. And then from there, it's really learning about how to build confidence, how to utilize imagery or visualization, how to manage the amount of energy that they're using. Game planning is, we talk about it in golf as course management, but realistically is game planning and being able to stick to that game plan in all different circumstances. And so I talk to players about those things and pre-shot routines, the importance of that. And really, as I shared, being able to teach someone, which you are teaching them, how to actually talk to themselves.
Mm.
It's a just, I mean, that, especially for younger players, but even as, I call it the collegiate player, we just, I mean, if you could listen, y'all, you golf, if you can listen to yourself,
Uh-huh.
talk about yourself.
Mhm.
And I just shared that with our daughter today. It's a big thing. The things you say to yourself about yourself
Mm. Mm.
That's what lingers.
So then you got to keep on encouraging. You got to keep it positive.
You got
Okay.
to. It's got to be effective. You can't. The things you think cannot be. I use a word a lot of times when I'm teaching these concepts is we say the words negative and positive. And
Mm-hmm.
so I actually tell players, which is kind of unique, that I actually just need you to think effectively versus
Okay.
ineffectively. And so I always give this example because pretty much everywhere around the country now they have one of these. But if you're standing at the first tee and you're thinking about the Chick-fil-A milkshake and the peach one that comes out, oh, that thing is fire.
Fire.
Man, woo, hot day. But I'm thinking about that, and it's a tournament. But I'm thinking about this Chick-fil-A peach milkshake on the first tee. That's a good, very positive thought. It's unfortunately ineffective. So I need you to be
Okay.
thinking about some other things that are actually effective that will allow you to keep your mind sharp, your mental going the way that it needs to go. So that's the difference between a positive thought and an effective thought. So that's a very positive thing. You know, we say go get them or you can do it. I mean, all those things, whatever they might be. Hey, get your Chick-fil-A milkshake after it's all over, son or daughter. Okay, that's cool, but it's not effective.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so it's just,
So.
one of those little things. That's a work that I do, right? That's a important piece.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause it's more important to think effective than it is to think positive. And so we
Okay.
may I know sometimes when people are even playing and you might leave a putt short, you might, slap your thigh, or you may, whatever, you might say something that might not be awesome, might kind of come off negative, but it's actually motivating and instructional what you're saying to yourself, and that actually would be an effective thought.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
Interesting.
things of those natures, so we want to try to help players understand that. I do a lot of teaching the skills, but then try to implement those skills into their actual golf rounds. So
A
hopefully
quick
that gets
follow up.
yeah.
So, as an amateur, or I'm sure professionals get it. When you get nervous or you get hesitant, especially like on the first tee, everyone's watching, or you could be on the seventh hole and you got a birdie putt, and you're gonna go the lowest you ever been in life, and crazy thoughts come into your head because you're sitting over a 2-foot putt that you could blow in with your mouth, but you're very nervous over that 2-foot putt. And I think people don't understand the power of organizing your thoughts and organizing your mind. And you can't do it on your own if you don't have the knowledge to do it. And everyone's not a master of knowledge of every sense. You know what I mean? So what do you tell people? And I say this to say that we need people like you, because why try to figure that out on your own when you got
Right.
so many other things to figure that out? And you might figure it out wrong and you're still going to go through, because everyone gets nervous, everyone gets the jitters. You're standing over this, you're standing over something that you can do in your sleep, but the importance of it makes you so anxious and nervous that you have to organize your thoughts. But a professional needs to tell you how to organize your thoughts, because the mind is the most powerful thing in the world. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So wouldn't you want someone to help organize the most powerful thing in the world that's living in you?
Makes sense. And so, you said it, which is such a I call it, you're halfway there, right? That
Mhm.
everybody gets nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you listen, any interview, players will tell you, I don't care how seasoned they are, where they are in their lot in life of professionalism or not, they all get nervous. LeBron was nervous yesterday, but because he said how much that game meant.
Yeah.
Right. There's
You
something
know,
important about what you're doing. And that
Mm.
means that you just care. That's what I always share with people. That means you care about what you're doing. Now, as you mentioned, now to teach someone how to organize their thoughts really is important. So we already know this moment is coming. And so we prepare for that moment before the moment shows up. And we
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of, visualization or imagery work around that so that you're prepared when that moment shows up. And I love when a player tells me, like this happened and this is what we talked about this. We created a plan for it. I mean, that's really where anxiety comes, is when there's no plan. You know, when the
Mm.
doctor leaves you and says, "I'll be right back," your mind is going all over the place because you have no information and you
Mm-hmm.
have no plan. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what raises anxiety, gets the heart rate going. And we can't have those things, particularly when we're over a 2 foot putt, because the grip gets a little tight. And we have to be able
Mhm.
to just let that thing be free and flowing. And so then we are able to do that. But it does require pre-work, right? It can't be something like you mentioned that we just go out there and do quote unquote on our own.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work
Mm.
that way.
Do you deal with in when you're coaching, training, do you deal with belonging? Like how do you deal with that quite often? How do you deal with that?
Yes, like um that's I think that's personalities for sure. But one of the things about it is this is such an individual game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think actually Don Staley said this. The fun thing to do in this game is in sport in general, really, is to prove the people right that love and trust you. So
Mm-hmm.
that's who you have to really remind yourself of who you belong to,
I
and that's
like
so
that.
powerful
I
because
like
it's
that.
the truth.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's easy to prove somebody wrong. I mean, we live our lives that way. I think even as a minority, when we're thinking about ourselves, we're trying to prove that guy wrong and a man, whoever the man is. I'm just trying to
Mhm.
prove people that love me right, that have faith in me right. And
I
that
like
way, it's actually a little bit easier to go about doing what you do. It's
mm,
Mm.
less pressure.
I like that. I like
Definitely.
that.
No, no, because that reverses it. Because I hear Dion say it all the time. Like you can easily quit on yourself, but you're not gonna quit on mama
You
or
not.
dad or grandmama
Mhm.
that helped you get there. So to reverse and be like, oh, I'm gonna prove this person wrong. But to be like, no, I'm about to prove Granny right. We about to go do this. It
Yes, I
makes
like
sense. It
it.
just makes it's
Yeah.
a full circle. It makes sense.
Yeah,
Baby girl played down here in Florida in the Jim Thorpe Invitational. Tell us about that. I know she took first place, right?
she did in her age
Oh,
group. I think it was 13 to 15. So that was an experience. Yes, hands
nice,
down.
nice.
I have shared with people that even as in my job, my wife talks about this is like you should be just teaching her how to do this, what you do, right? But it is coming
Mhm.
from dad, so it's a little bit different. But I
Mm-hmm,
think
mm-hmm.
she's at the age where she has been in enough sessions. She's heard it, and she actually won in the playoff there, which was amazing to see. Her composure, and she actually was one of those athletes, right? That said when it happened was we prepared for this, we planned for this, we practiced for this, and so it was just neat to see her be able to take another leap in this game and win an event that offered a lot of there was a lot of reward, I think, because again, and when you winning does that, but I think even the showing that she had was good because it spoke to the hard work that she's been putting in. And so
Let's
again,
go.
she's still just 15, and I always remind her like you're already where most people are at your current age. We have plenty of
Hmm.
time to continue to grind out some wins and work. So plenty of goodness with that. So super excited to see
That's
her,
good.
come through in that stage. Anytime you travel to go golf and play, it's tough. And so be able to travel, go play golf and win, that was an amazing experience. I'll definitely remember it. So she actually won with a chip in birdie on the playoff hole. So it's pretty sweet.
Woo! Beast mode. I love it.
It was good.
Nice. You got anything, man?
Okay. I always
How's your
got
son
something.
doing? Your son plays also, right?
He does. So Manny was like, how many kids? He's still trying to count them up. So
He said four, but I was like, woo.
I have a 13-year-old daughter and then three boys. So my 13-year-old son, he also golfs as well. And he's, I call it he's on the mend. He's in the 7th grade. So we have a lot of time, as I say, with him. Although boys are a little bit different because literally he's 13. And as soon as he turns 14, there I tease him. I say, there's no more. You play from the big boy tees from 14 until that's it. I
Okay.
mean, it's just how it works.
Yeah.
That's how all the events work. Anything that you're playing that's of merit. But he's out there working really hard. He's just at that age. Like I share with him all the time, is the thing that what I tell him is anytime you see your big sister doing something, i.e. putting, okay, in the house, I think that's let that be a sign. Like, oh, I should go do that.
I
And
should
Yeah.
so
do that.
lean on
Follow
somebody.
suit.
Her work ethic is phenomenal. And so if
Okay.
he can continue to lean on that, I think he'll be off and running. So um he loves golf. I mean, he's the guy that can tell you all the things, how to hit the shots and who's doing what and what
Okay.
this club does. And so I like that about him, and his mind really works well in this sport. So again, he's just a laid back kind of kid. So which in golf it kind of works pretty well. Um, there's still got to be a little bit of get after it, but yeah, he's out there still, performing well, doing well. He broke his wrist actually at the Jim Thorpe, but he's actually now back playing. So, these young bones heal fast.
Yeah, they do.
So he's back playing and doing well. Looking forward to the summertime where you can get to play a lot more, some more 2-day events and some bigger things. So he's excited about it.
Okay.
Nice,
What
nice.
age did
Now,
you
how did?
start your babies? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, good question. So this is the fun story of my family. So my son started when he was 5. He actually played with 2 guys on Monday that he played with when he was 5. They're all in middle school now, and he played with them in a middle school match. It was so cool. Um,
Oh,
so he started when he was 5, playing US kids and the things that most kids nowadays, the trajectory of that. My daughter started when she was 10. She's 15 now.
mm-hmm.
And so my son is the one that introduced her to golf. Such a
Mm,
cool thing.
Yeah.
So that I think that's just a testament to get to the game of golf, right? We took him as a kid to the thing. He's out there, and she's like, well, I might as well give this a try. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
So now she's golfing, and so now they have something that they can do together. And I have a 9-year-old. I call him. He's a arch. He loves archery, and he likes to shoot anything. So that's what he enjoys. And my youngest is 7, and he actually has started to take up golf,
Okay.
which is kind of funny because all the things that I had for the older kids are now I had to start over. It's kind of
right.
like you had a baby late. You're like, oh, you want to keep the car seat? No. So, but yeah, he's out there hitting the ball around and kind of taking into the game a little bit. But he's 7. So, but I think at some kids just start a little bit late, But I think even for my daughter starting at 10, I mean, she was just literally like club in hand starting at 10, and so we didn't really
Hmm.
start doing tournaments and things until she was about 12.
Okay.
And so she literally in 3-ish years, a little longer than that. I feel like her game has skyrocketed and grown tremendously with such a man. The ceiling, the sky is really the limit for that. So
Love it.
it's good.
Yeah, I think we get stuck on. I mean, you want to start them early, and people start them early. You start when you start.
Start
You
when you
start
start.
when your parents know. You start when they take an interest. You start when you start, and guess what? You finish where you're supposed to finish. Period.
It, it's
That's
the
it. I
way that
could.
it goes.
That's life. I can start someone. I can start my kid at 4, and he quits at 12. Did that help? Did that help
No,
me
right.
any?
We say
But
that
I'd
all
rather
the time.
have him start at 10 and keep playing for the rest of his life. I mean, they start where they start. You give them the knowledge and you expose them the best you can, but they start where they start and they finish wherever they finish, whether it be a scholarship, whether it be the PGA, whether it just be I'm a CEO and I'm going to take my boss out and get a raise because I know how to shoot 77.
Yeah,
I think the raise helps. I'm not
yeah.
sure, but I guess he'll be joining the country club because he started playing at 14. I think we get stuck too much on ages and 95% of the kids that start golf, no matter culture, race, creed, economic background, will not be elite. Period.
No.
No matter if you start them
Uh,
at 2 months old, they're not going to be elite. Just like basketball players that started playing basketball at 4, they will not be elite. Football, they will not. Soccer, tennis, that's just how it is. So I just think we start them as early as we can to get them fun, to have them fun. If they burn out a little bit, take a break, start them back up. I just think it's important for them to play golf forever
yeah,
and have
it,
fun.
The thing you mentioned is such a, my daughter learned this last year. She played in a scramble event. You know, somebody said, "Hey, your kids play right," and they were like, they didn't want my son because he's a guy, so he had to play, you know, from the guys' tees wherever they were. And he was like, "But your daughter, don't she play?" And I was like, "Yeah, and well, she can play from the ladies' tees." I said, "Well, okay." And so we get out there, and literally they were like, "Oh, I'm so glad we had her on the team," because literally they used her golf ball the whole round. Basically, she played by herself. The other three people just rode along
Yeah,
and watched.
she in the
Ooh,
fairway.
right,
Exactly. She in the fairway.
on the green. You know, we driving greens at from the women's tee. You know, those tees, red tees, whatever they are. I mean, so it's funny. She was like, "Oh," and the guy literally in the group said this to her. The same thing you said, Manny. It's like, listen, you should not ever stop. I don't care if you played in college or not. You're pretty good. So these types of events, you you could travel all over at your job and do these things. And so making sure that you know, this is a skill for life. This isn't just a skill for a moment. So it's important.
Nice, nice. So
Absolutely.
another quick follow up. How, and I don't know about your marketing or whatnot. How do we separate or get the understanding within, not just our, but people in general, about there's mental health help for a ailment, and then there's mental health for sports, and I think it's different
It
because
is.
you, and how do you, I'm not an expert, so how do you separate the two? Because I think people jumble it together and get stigmas, and that's why they probably is not accepting of the sports part of mental organization and mental strength, are the health part of fixing something that may be an imbalance or may need some, like an ailment. It's totally two different things, and I think
Yeah.
sometimes we jumble it up.
It's because I got like on my hat right there, it says minds, right? So now they're thinking, oh, something with the mind. Something's going on. But the reality of it is like you said, there is a delineation between the two, and it does kind of bleed together. But for the most part, if we were just to be straight up, if you think about the mental coaching side,
Hmm.
this is a, I call it a preventative space. So if someone is looking to maximize performance before performance gets bad or bad, you know, a lot of people find you in there in a slump, or they got the chili dips or whatever. That's fine, but the reality of this is a proactive service, not a reactive service.
Okay.
Mm,
So oftentimes my athletes that come proactively, meaning like I know I need this, I need to add it to what I'm doing, those folks you'll see a lot more growth actually right away.
Hmm.
Because if you come to me and you're in a slump, or you have some ailment, as you mentioned, I got to deal with that ailment first. I got to get you, and that's where being able to be a licensed therapist or something like that helps.
yeah.
But I have to get your anxiety under control. I have to get your depression under control before I got to get your self image under control, the therapeutic
Mm,
spaces, before
Mm.
we actually begin building on the mindset. Because again, you have to have that, as that song is so popular, you have to have a firm foundation. If you don't have
mm,
that firm foundation,
You have
then what am I
nothing.
building it on? I'm building it on
Yeah.
sand, and so it's
yeah.
fleeting. um
Yeah. That
and
makes
so like
sense.
you
You got to
said, there is a
heal.
difference. You got to heal first. And there's sometimes, you know, fortunately for me, being able to be a licensed therapist and also doing this work, I'm able to kind of see the, like, no, 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 no. I hear, you know, kid might come and the parents like, no, they lose it out there all the time. Well, okay, I figure out what's going on. And actually I share, "Hey, this is more clinical. You know,
Mm,
there's a maybe there was a divorce or absent dad,
mm,
or they, you know, a situation, a health circumstance with a family member, you know, that
mm,
we're struggling with. There's some things that we have to really
Hmm.
work through. And so I think being able to educate people around that is so important. That is what makes my job a little more challenging, because there can be a bit of a bleed in there. But if I was just straight up doing mental performance coaching, it's really a proactive approach. You know,
Wow.
we're going to be dealing with how to strengthen the brain, so that way you can actually be as I call it be successful, yes, but actually to be successful under stress and pressure.
Mm-hmm.
If we can
Mm.
do that, that's what we're looking to do. That's why somebody's coming to me if they're proactive with it. Like I know this is a part, like you mentioned, it's a team, right? I go get the physio guy, I get my nutritionist, I got my swing coach, I even got a wedge coach, a putting coach, a
Yeah.
coach of the coach, whatever the coaches are. Okay, we need that
I got
mental
a
coach,
coach to manage the coaches.
manage the coaches. That's their mom and dad, right? So,
Exactly.
I got to have all these pieces to make sure that I'm able to be ready. That's a
Mm.
proactive approach. And some people come and be reactive, no worries. We'll work through that too. But
Mm-hmm.
that's where, I'm able to be able to discern and make it clear for them why they're actually here, how we can actually fix whatever is going on so that I can get them back on track. Great question.
Do
Okay.
you find that younger or older kids are easier to work with? And when you transfer some of your skill set to, like, if amateurs come to you, are they even harder to deal with or harder to understand? What do you see as far, the kids, they're looking for something in their sports career at that age, right? And
Yes,
then you have the amateur that's like, well, we're just playing with Rob and I want to really beat the boss and I want to, so it's different reasonings, probably need the same skill set, but it's different reasonings. And what do you see in that cross section of people and ages?
sure. I think someone asked me this question, and I still working through the answer, I think, of like what the ideal client is, right? Um, I think that it's interesting, like the amateur who just playing golf and wants to get better, and they know that this is a part of their golf, like they need this to be that person actually is pretty easy. And I'm gonna
Okay.
say why. Because they actually are going to do exactly what these skills do, meaning that these skills are just microcosms for life skills in some aspects. And so they're going to be like talking to me like, oh wait, so like um so you're saying if I have a routine, right, this pre-shot routine, so if I have a pre-work routine, you mean I could sell more? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, let's. And then they start really connecting those dots,
Yeah.
and
Nice.
then this becomes like they're like, yeah, I'm bought in. This is amazing.
Okay.
As a kid,
Nice.
you kind of don't see those cross sectionals as well. I point them out for folks, obviously, especially if you're in high school because you need to understand it. Um, but someone that's in middle school or later on in elementary, they don't necessarily see those cross sections. But like if I'm going to teach you how to manage anxiety, I'm going to teach that same skill is going to help you do really well on all your tests at school.
Hmm.
It's amazing. So I'll give you a little tidbit here that when I'm working specifically with college and high school kids, and I'm gonna ask you guys the same question. Okay. So as an athlete, do you want to finish 50th or first
As
First.
an athlete,
as an
yeah,
athlete?
I want to finish first.
Right.
That-
Easy, right?
mhm.
But so you as an athlete, because we're trained that way. We want to win, we want to be the first, we want to be the best, we want to be somewhere 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We want to be somewhere in there. That'd be great.
Mhm.
So why is it that when you take a test that you start at 1 and you finish 50th? You see, you're an athlete brain. Your brain doesn't even work that way. You start feeling
Hmm.
bad about yourself as you get down that test, like, man, I'm on 35, 52, whatever it is. So I teach my athletes, why don't we just start the test at 50 and work your way to number 1?
Hmm.
Because your brain works that way. You start
That
Mm,
gaining momentum, like, oh, look at me go. Okay, I'm moving up the leaderboard.
that makes sense.
I
Yeah, that
like
makes
that. I
sense.
like
I
it.
never
You
heard, and I've never heard that
I
before,
like
but it
it.
makes total sense.
see
Yeah.
what I mean? So that's where like you're able to take these skills that I know work well, but now I'm going to help your child learn how to take tests better because they're an athlete. And they're like, oh, I never, like you said, I never heard of that before. I never did it before.
I did.
And then I teach them some things about test taking because
Mhm.
it's just like anything that we do. I say, like, when you're practicing and you're maybe at the range and you're getting ready to go out there for the tournament, it somehow happens. Somehow, I don't know. You can ask my kids this. I'm going to have that shot that I don't like. It comes early in the round. I'm gonna have that weird putt, 6 feet for par. I don't really like that one. Those things are going to show up, and they're going to show up quickly. And just like a test, the thing that you last worked on that you're not really confident, it's going to show up first. So let's just knock that thing out right away. That's usually the essay question on the back or the hardest question, but really the hardest questions or the test on the questions in the back of the test are the most recent things you learned. Right? I just got a lesson from my swing coach, and here I need to hit a cut.
That's awesome.
Right away. It's amazing how it works, but that's the truth. And so you work it that way, and you teach them how to, take this skill, work it everywhere else, so that way they start to understand it. So that would be something, definitely that I'm working. Parents ask all the time, well, are these skills transferable? 100%.
Of course, yeah.
1000%. No doubt about it.
Wow.
Nice. On
that one right there. So that's how I did when I learned how to play golf. So highest score was like a 120. Then I said, you know what? I want to get to 110. Then I said, I'm going to get to 100. Then I said, I'm going to break 90. And then I said, I'm going to break 80. Then I broke 80. And that was like about 2 years ago. Broke it about 6 times. And I have not been able to make it back there since. Changed equipment, just have not been back in almost 2 years. And so it's frustrating, but it keeps me coming back because I know I can do it.
Here you go. I'm gonna help you right now. You ready?
Okay.
Okay. What number are you trying to break again?
Break 80s. Shooting my 70s.
Right. Now see, look what I just did. You want to break something, but no, you don't. You want to shoot in. You see when you so in golf does this all the time, and we do it actually for goals and rings and all that. But you actually want to shoot in the 70s. You don't want to break 80.
Okay.
You see, because in your mind you go out there and guess what you're saying? Oh, I'm gonna break
80. And I'm shooting 83, 84, 85, 81, and that mad.
Just don't go nowhere.
Mad.
This is crazy. The last thing out your mouth when you're out there running around is, I want to break this 80. No. I just need you to shoot in the 70s. Okay.
I like that. So you're changing the mindset. You're changing the mindset.
Right. Because now it's more about what I'm shooting in and not what I'm trying to, not do. And our brains really don't have a construct for don't, not, can't. There's no picture for that.
Exactly. The mind, it's no impossibilities in the mind.
Wow.
No. So if I don't have that picture, that's not a word. It doesn't even mean most people, even with the word don't or stop, I mean, really the picture that you have in your mind is of the stop sign. It might be of the circle with the red line in it, maybe. But even then, what you see is what's behind it, which is the real construct. So don't hit it over the water. The water, the last thing I said is it's coming. 80. Don't break 80. I gotta break 80. I'm breaking 80, breaking 80.
You put 80 in the universe. You're going to 80.
Your mind
I'm stuck there. I've been stuck there.
Stuck on 80 because you said that's what you want. You want to be shooting in the 70s. Enough said, right? So those are things that I change your language, right? Because that's important. We know words are extremely powerful because, I see it, my own kids, but other junior golfers, it's that's where the tense and the pressure comes. It's like, I gotta, my daughter's big hang up for a little while is shooting 70. See this? In 2-day events. So 2 rounds in the 70s, big hang up. We would go out there and tear that thing up, shoot that good 74, 72, 73. Like, yeah, I'm in there. And then go out there and shoot 81. Because I want to shoot 2 rounds, this whole thing. Listen, we had to get that language out and just kind of change things up. So we want to shoot a total score of in a 2-day event.
I like it.
That makes sense.
Marty's coming to Tampa. You see what she says? She's coming to Tampa this week, and we're golfing on Friday, and she's gonna get a hole-in-one. We're gonna report back next week.
Marty, Lord, Marty. What kind of hole-in-one?
and listen, I'm gonna tell her the hole in one can happen
If he
off
says she's
the
gonna make a
chip
hole.
in. That's the hole in one.
Exactly. I'm like, what kind of hole in
One
ones
putt,
are we
hole in
doing? Are we
one.
going to the strip clubs, or what are we
Hole
doing with
in
them
one.
holes in them ones?
Yeah,
I'm just messing with you.
You messing with your mind.
So it's gonna be good. Absolutely, we gotta speak these things into the truth. Really, is what
You
I
do.
say to people. I don't want people to think that
Facts.
you're out there lying to yourself, because that falls flat. But be really be able to speak truth to what you're doing. The truth is,
Makes
you
sense.
want to shoot in the 70s. You don't want to break 80, because
Nah,
you
I want to
still
shoot
wouldn't
him
be
out.
happy with it. And I'm just telling you this because it's crazy. You would not like you would do it and hit 79, and you'll be like,
But it's
nah.
real though. But it's real because even with the hole in one, so I got a hole in one a year and a half into my golf game. But literally, what I tell anybody, and I told Marty too, like you said, the last thought in your mind. So I don't sit there and I don't get on my par 3 and say, I hope to get a hole in one or whatever, whatever. I the last thought in my mind is I'm gonna get a hole in one. I'm gonna get a hole in one. So you ask Marty, I get closest to the pin all the time, because that's the last thought in my mind. I may not get a hole in one, but I'm 6 inches from it, 3 inches from it, and it just and one of these days it's gonna fall in again.
That's what's gonna happen. So you just keep falling into them 70s. It's gonna happen.
Oh, it's done. It's done.
Right.
It's done.
Right.
Love
Now
Love it.
you
Love it.
virtual?
Love
Do
it.
you
70s.
do
I
you do
can't
your,
find the 70s.
do you provide your service virtually, in person?
Sure, great question. So all said things is what I tell people. I do a lot of I do a lot of virtual work not because of COVID, to be honest. I was doing virtual work. I am going to date myself for just a hot second when Skype was around. So,
Mm.
where I lived before coming to Savannah, Georgia, was in Maryland, DC area. And so people would drive 2 hours one way for an hour session and then have to drive 2 hours another way. And so even then I started doing virtual work. So I do virtual work, in-person work, over the phone if you need that. Every once in a while, especially in the golf industry, I say it does happen more frequently now because of my daughter and my son who play. We play in events, especially if, like, we'll just see people. It's gonna happen. I'm probably gonna see you at the same event, so you'll get some one-on-one time in person. Even if I'm working with somebody that's in Dallas or Pensacola or San Diego, like it, especially in the golf space, we're probably gonna, and if you look like we're probably gonna run into each other for
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna work through that. We'll schedule time to see things and make it work. So, but yes,
Okay.
all said ways is how we make it happen.
Love it. Love
Nice.
it. Love it.
Nice. Nice. All right. We had an hour. Last parting words from Trish, and then our guy.
All right, Robert, it's always a pleasure to have you on. We love Elite Minds LLC. Anytime that he comes on here, if you got a golfer out there, if you're a golfer out there and you're looking for that help, reach out to Robert Price. He got you. I'm going to work on shooting in my 70s. Is that the verbiage?
That's it. Money right
Okay,
there.
and I'm going to report back. So I'll let y'all know how that goes.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Thank you for coming on.
For sure.
Robert, the man, the mystic. We're going to get deeper too one of these days on the power. Oprah tried to do it. A few others tried to do it. Some nuts tried to do it and turned themselves into a cult and killed up a gang of people. But the mind is limitless. The
Yeah.
mind is all powerful. That's what he was speaking on. The mind, there's no in mind, because then you stop growing. And the good Lord is never going to allow you to stop being all you can be. So it's no governor on your brain. There's no governor to slow you down on your mind. You can think and do whatever it is that you can think of, and then think of something else, and you can do that. And people need to understand that. Some people have used that power and abused it, but nevertheless, it is a power, and the mind is very powerful. I'm just glad you're doing the work and making us proud. Last words.
Sure, I appreciate that. And my last words really are very simple, man. I'm just blessed and highly favored. I appreciate you guys for having me on. And just remind people again that basic core tenet around this is that the things that you think, which you have the most control over, drive what you feel and what you do. And so if you're able to remember those things, it's just that is the foundation, the firm foundation of mental performance coaching, specifically the services that I work with. So if you all need to get at me, that's my Instagram handle is at Elite Minds LLC. If you could send me a message through that, that's probably the easiest and fastest way. And so I look forward to helping those that need help, and all is well, man. But I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on. Get rich and die golfing.
That's right. That's what I want to do. I want my kids to be like, man, we're just going to bear. Like I was reading some history before we go on the Masters, because I was going to do a piece on the Masters. And, you know, Bobby Jones and then his other partner, you know, he killed himself on hole 8. They buried his ashes somewhere on the course. People was playing on his ashes. He was a devout racist asshole all of his life. And, you know, I'm getting there. I'm gonna do some more digging, and I don't think people know the true story of the Masters. It's evolved like everything else in America. It's evolved for the good. It's getting better and better and better. But the history is crazy. And on that note, we'll leave it at that and get something else next week. We out.